Howler Fake News Part 2: How to Spot Fake News. Nearly every time you search for news or information online, you're confronted with a fire hose of results. The aim of this tutorial is to give you suggestions of how to spot fake news, when instead you're after facts, reliable details, and clarity. Keep in mind, there are some technological fixes for fake news. It seems at least as though some sites like Facebook want to reduce the volume of unreliable content. There are also browser plugins like BS Detector to help you identify known fake news sites while you browse. However, it's far better to develop your own internal BS detector, since tech fixes can't always reveal the less obvious cases of misleading and false information. For example, you might come upon a page like this. The question is this real or accurate? The first question you should ask is, who claims this to be true? It appears that it's ABC News. However, the web address, or URL, is slightly different from that of the genuine ABC News. Sometimes there are imitation sites that co-opt the look and feel of a real site, but it has no relationship to the actual news organization. Anytime you consider trusting a source that you are unfamiliar with, read up on the organization by checking their About Us section. If a site makes it difficult to discover information about their mission or philosophy, move on to another source. Legitimate news sources have nothing to hide. A second consideration to gauging the authority of news is, what sort of reputation does this news organization have? Try Googling the name of the source to see how it's described by others. In this example, an online wiki describes the Washington Times as having an editorial slant that is notably conservative and partisan in favor of the Republican Party. A next step is to shop news sites to see whether any other reputable sources are reporting similar stories. Of course, this doesn't automatically make a story true, but it can be an early indication that this could very well be a true story. In general, news stories don't provide a great deal of evidence in form of footnotes or data sets, particularly when a story is new. For investigative reports that compile statistics and attributed quotes, however, the more data that backs a story and the more a story or report provides links to the original sources, the more we should trust the credibility of that source. What accompanies the story? Are there images that look phony, altered, or distorted somehow? Google does provide a reverse image search so that you can see where else a photo has been used or linked. A search of this Obama photo turned up the fact-checking site Snopes, which had already determined that the news story that ran this distorted photo was, in fact, a fake news story. In general, fake news makes every attempt to appeal to emotions rather than reason. Finally, you should also examine the other content that this site provides. If it promotes a lot of soft celebrity content, or if it attempts to steer you to clickbait, perhaps none of the content is believable. Beyond browser plugins and your own evaluation, there are a few good fact-checking sites to consider when you're confronted with a suspect story. PolitiFact makes it very clear that reports of paid protesters at Trump rallies were indeed false. Besides being careful and choosy when you search for news, what can you do? For one, when you find out something is not true, don't share it. Thank you for viewing this Howler tutorial.